We played Moraine State Park
Here in Pittsburgh, PA.
par 66, tough track.
Tough track, yeah. Stay on point.
My take on this, a lot of this course is, no matter where you're at and how good your shot is, your disc had to be this or this far from a tree at some point during its flight to make it where it needed to go. Never can you like throw a clean line through 25-foot trees and be right in the middle. It just doesn't happen out here. You're always going to be close to something, even with great shots.
What's the long roller, forced roller almost? Five? I think it's five.
No,
it's
six.
It might be six. It's a 1,000-foot hole. You start off with like 8 to 10-foot ceiling. There's really no going over the top unless you're really booming, and then you've got 1,000 feet to go, and it just goes from one part. And I played down the middle, then on the right to the left, then from the left to the right, and got down to get my par or my birdie.
That was actually an awesome shot you threw on your third one there to get the birdie.
Yeah, and the thing for me here with the saying on this is the courses are no joke. Like, you really need to be on point. You really need to be accurate. And like he's saying, you can be on point for the first part, but when you get up around the blind corner, you might have those shenanigans to deal with.
Hole 16 in my eyes is probably the most difficult hole out here. It's got a flat 350-foot area, and then it rises sharply about 15-20 feet up, and there's pine trees all on the hill, and there's really not a great gap up there. And if you're not perfect on your drive way up there, it's hard to advance your shot very far on the second shot.
Yeah, I feel the same, especially coming off of like 14 and 15. 15's a signature hole here up on top of the hill. You just take a nice basic drive and use a lot of the fairway, and then another hyzer in, or whichever angle you take. But then you turn to 16, and like you're saying, it's low ceiling with an uprise, and it's hard to even beat the hill. And if you do get on the hill, then you're forced to basically throw a forehand roller. I unfortunately ended up on the right and then on the left, and had to get up and down through some really tough stuff. And when I did get up, I had to push, like we were saying earlier, just a really, really risky line to actually advance the disc the next 350 to 400 feet to get my putt, which I luckily scraped through. So I would think definitely 16 is one of the toughest. What's the one where you come around the corner into the tree line?
Well, downhill around the corner,
yeah.
Hole 12.
Hole 12 I would put second, because first of all, you're blind down to get around the corner. We had a lot of swirly wind today. And then you're just basically need the straightest line you can. It's one of the tougher par fours. I think 16 actually works out to be good as a par five, but I thought that par four might be tough just because you're playing on an angled island of dirt going in, just nothing but trees, and I got off, and that was my highest scoring hole today, and I felt good just getting a 6 on it from where, because I stayed in the trees on the right, I would have had to pitch and take some really difficult lines down the middle. So
large incline, or decline I should say, on the right side of that fairway, which makes that hole really tough if you get off to the right at the end too. And it tends to kick over there anyway if you do hit a tree.
Yeah, everything filters that way.
I have my best save out there was probably hole 12. I threw a horrible drive, too high early, it kicked into the left woods, had to put a towel around my leg to stick it in there to get into the briars, and do a little sidearm roller out that got a little lucky, I guess, and caught a tree and popped back to the middle, and I was still left with a really tight shot, and I pured it all the way up to the pin, had a drop in for. I was really happy with that par save.
Yeah, just throwing what you think are good shots to get in placement of the fairways, and just kind of finding that you're not really in the fairway, and you have to take some obscure lines to create your next shot and try to get through it.
Yeah, I think this is the same thing. I mean, there's a lot of spots where you think you're good after you throw your shot, and you get up there, and there's quite a few trees in the way, and not a great line to the hole, and you got to like create a shot, like he says. You got to go a little outside the lines of what you would normally throw your shot, and try and get something to filter in at the end. It's definitely tough out there.
Yeah.
I would take my second shot on hole 15, the big, beautiful downhill kind of open hole, one of the most open holes out here. It's a really good golf hole. You got to play it to almost a perfect spot to have the good line where you can choose what shot you want to throw. From my drive, I could have thrown a straight shot. I could have thrown a slight flip flex or a big hyzer. I went to big hyzer because it's a little cleaner.
Well, and there was a ton of wind for you on that too. Yeah. So I would have to say my fourth shot on 16, once I actually got to the top of the plateau, and I had to pump between a tree in front of me and then 3 trees here, and had to slice a little push hyzer and get the rest of the hole, which I think is about 350, it felt like to me. and I got down there and saved my par, which I felt was
That was a great par save.
yeah, it was a difficult shot because I mean, it's like we said, you're manufacturing a shot you do not normally push. I throw a lot of flat shots and let my disc do what it does, and I was having to snap hyzer sit up, and so I felt that was probably one of my best shots for saving and stuff.
There's a couple of holes where there's like this much space in the fairway, and if you're not in that space in the middle of the fairway, you don't have a good line. If you're just over here or just over here, you have to manufacture some kind of weird angle and flex or something.
Popping up, using extra flippy,
Yeah,
which with the
sidearm
wind
rollers
today,
and stuff like that.
Saw a lot of forehand rollers and backhand rollers and just scraping, a lot of scraping.
Definitely test every shot. You know, you have to use every shot in the bag. Hyzers, turnovers, rollers, use it all out there.
Yeah, definitely. There's a good use of your entire bag, so it's not like it's not just like keep it easy and keep it in the middle like people are saying. It's you have to work, because to stay in the middle, you're not going to be scoring, I feel. To just like, I'll pitch over here and pitch over there, you're probably not going to score a lot of the holes. Maybe the smaller ones, but not the long, tight windowed, small ceiling, technical lines.
There's a fine line between being extra aggressive to go for the shot and being a little bit safe. And if you play it a little bit safe, you're going to be left with a longer shot with still just as many trees.
Yeah. But all in all, good day, great weather. I mean, got out here, it was actually cool this morning. I mean, it's really working out in our favor. The rain went on the players meeting night, and we haven't had anything, knock on wood. So yeah, really enjoying the Pittsburgh area and the courses.